Hi, welcome to CNT1015 Operating System Foundations. My name is Professor Brian Picotti, and I'm excited to bring you this nuts and bolts look at the Linux operating system. We're going to take a look at Linux installation, operation, system admin, and troubleshooting. And the goal for this course is for you to walk away with an in-depth knowledge of network configuration, services, performance, and security. A little bit about myself. I have a master's degree in computer science. I'm completing a PhD in cyber operations. I've been teaching for Florida State for almost a year. This will be the second time I've taught this class. So there's a lot to jump into. There's a wealth of knowledge here in the syllabus, so my expectation is that you're going to take an in-depth look at it. I want to call out a couple of highlights that I think are pretty critical for you to understand. And with that, we'll go ahead and jump right in. So before we jump into assignments, I want to take a quick look at the required text. So the textbook for the course is Linux Plus Guide to Linux Certification 5th edition. It's important because the quizzes that you're going to take within Canvas are drawn directly from the chapter reading. So I want to ensure that you're successful in those quizzes. And in order to be so, you definitely need to do the reading. So make sure you get that textbook. The recommended materials list here is helpful for you in terms of system administration and growing an increased breadth and depth of system admin and Linux knowledge, not necessary for completing the course. So there's a lot of color here, and I want to help break it down. The first thing that I think we need to take a look at is the course orientation assignment must be completed before May 20th. That's a requirement by FSCJ, and if you don't complete that by the 20th, you automatically drop from the course, so make sure you take care of that. The next thing I want to take a look at is the latent makeup work requirements. So as it states here, assignments are due on the due dates assigned below with a 7-day grace period during which no points are deducted, meaning if you're within 7 days or if you're late up to 7 days, I won't deduct any points. After the 7-day grace period, assignments may be submitted but with a 50% deduction in the resulting grade, meaning you have the entirety of the course to complete your coursework up until the last day, and if you do so and it's after that 7-day grace period, I will only give you 50% of the value of that assignment. So all labs, quizzes, and exams must be submitted prior to August 21st, 11:59 p.m. Anything not submitted by that due date will result in 0. So please make sure that you are working to complete all of the assignments prior to that date. So one of the unique things about this course is the course material comes from 3 separate areas or locations really, and it's important to note because if you overlook one of these locations and you think you're completing all the assignments but you haven't dug into one of these spots, then you're really only completing a third or 2/3 of the course. So as I've listed here and broken out by color, these are the 3 kind of areas in which we're going to complete assignments. The first of which is in Canvas. If you're watching this video, you've already got access to Canvas. It's basically the learning website that FSCJ uses in order to interact with students. So the bulk of what you're going to be required to do in Canvas is going to be your weekly quizzes. In addition to that, you've got your course orientation assignment. That's the assignment I just spoke of that's due by May 20th. And you've got a discussion blurb that you need to complete in the introduction and greetings section of Canvas. After that is you quickly glance through the rest of the syllabus. You'll see the green assignments are weekly quizzes, and those can be found on a weekly basis in Canvas. The next set of assignments are going to be at netcad, which is at netacad.com. And as you can see here, these are the ones that are highlighted in blue. They basically make up 3 different types of assignments. You've got labs, you've got exams, and then you've got your midterm and final. And if you look across the syllabus, you'll see that almost on a weekly basis, you've got labs and exams. Towards the end of the semester, you'll see here that there's a chapter 1 through 8 midterm, and then a final, which is a chapter 9 through 16, and then you have like a final, which is inclusive of chapters 1 through 16, all of which are open book. So I'm looking for you to use your resources to the max extent practical in order to work through each of these assignments, labs, exams, etc. The last section of material that you're going to be accessing and working through is NetLab. And I've included the URL here for you to access. So again, I want to highlight 3 separate areas of assignments, all for this one course. Canvas, which you're accessing now, netacad.com, which includes labs and exams, and then NetLab. And the NetLab material is going to be labs, which includes a small bit of reading, and then labs to basically work through that material. So now that we've talked about these 3 kind of separate areas in which learning and assignments are going to come from, let's take a quick look and overview of each so that everybody's on the same page about how to access it and work through the material. So the first of which we're going to take a look at is Canvas. And if you're new to FSCJ or online learning, this may be the first time you've seen this. I'll give you a brief overview of kind of what to expect. So we're looking at the Canvas summer module for CNT1015. I'm in student view, so what I'm seeing should be similar to what you're seeing. I would recommend the first of places that you go is to announcements. So if you go to announcements, you'll see this is where I post my announcements to the students. And I've provided this introductory. It breaks out this discussion that we've had in regards to the assignments in 3 areas. I've provided links here and a link to the syllabus. I would definitely, again, encourage you to take an in-depth look at the syllabus to make sure that you understand all the assignments and where they're at in order to complete the course. The discussions tab is where you'll go to complete your introductions and greetings. And then if you go to, if you go home, the course orientation assignment is the assignment that's required in order to be able to remain in the course. In order to complete this assignment, you'll click on Start Assignment, complete the reading and submission, and submit assignment. Make sure you do that before midnight of the 20th in order to remain in the course. Above and beyond that, I think the big ticket items here are going to be, I'll leave that. Accessing the quizzes and understanding your weekly assignments. So you can see here that I can access the quizzes on a weekly basis, and you can go to these quizzes and complete them ahead of time. They're open, you have unlimited attempts, and no time limit. So my goal for you here is maximize your points towards the course by ensuring that you have the knowledge necessary, and that's coming from the reading. That's why the textbook is so important. So make sure you pick that up and you do the reading. Let's see. And I think other than that, the only other thing I would highlight for you is maybe the calendar, which if you look at in the agenda view, which we have highlighted here, you can see it breaks out the requirements for each given week across NetLab, NetAcad, and Quiz. So that would probably be a helpful view for you as well. Moving from Canvas to NetAcad, here we are in my NetAcad portal. And my portal is going to look very similar to yours because, like you, I have a student account. And that's the way that FSCJ sets it up. So if we go ahead and launch the course, you see that we can jump right in here. And then in each of these modules, which are outlined the same way, let's see if we can see that here. So this is module 1, I believe. This might be module 2. If we back out, maybe So yes, if we take a look at Module 1, you'll see that it lists Netacad Introduction to Linux. Then we can take a look at Module 1, Introduction to Linux, and it's probably worth noting that these may not always line up, and don't be concerned about that. The goal here is to ensure that you're working through the Netacad material on a weekly basis. And really what I'm looking for is to ensure that you are completing the modules as we're moving through the course. So you can see here that there's 18 modules total. Most of the modules have a reading plus a lab and an exam. So make sure that as we're working our way week through week of the course, that you're at least getting touches in here in line with the calendar, which will highlight which modules you need to complete. Sorry for the wait. Oh my. Let's see if we can. While waiting for that. So completing the Netacad assignments is really just a matter of going into the modules. Each of them have readings, which you'll see here. And they're fairly short readings, so it's not really much that should take you a whole lot of time. And then for the most part, most of them have these exams, which are pretty straightforward, all of which is related based to the readings that you would have just completed right here. So pretty straightforward. Unfortunately, that looks like it's not going to work for us. And then moving from Netacad to NetLab, this is NetLab right here. As you can see here, I've got this link set up. Now, when you access NetLab, you're going to immediately start by setting up a new reservation. Unlike Netacad, I have an instructor account for NetLab. I suspect that when you go in here, some of these options may not be available. But if you schedule a lab for yourself, which you should be able to do, you'll be able to schedule from one of these. And if you look at the syllabus, which is always a safe bet, by the way, previously we were talking about looking at the calendar to determine which assignments you should be doing in Netcad. I think your primary go-to should be the syllabus. If you work predominantly from this will never steer you wrong. This is the foundation that I built in order to kind of guide and direct the course. So if we're looking for our NetLab, we see that in week 2, we need Linux installation and usage lab 1A and 1B. So this is Linux installation. We'll go ahead and go here. And then once you go in here, you can see we have 1A and 1B here. So you can click on this. And if you remember, we're still scheduling the assignment and scheduling the time. And this is a server essentially that FSCJ is making available to students. And as I'm sure you can appreciate, servers only have a maximum amount of bandwidth. So in order to ensure that students have access to the material, they limit the scope in which number of students can access the server. Typically, you won't see an inavailability for NetLab, so you generally should be able to come in here and schedule periods for the time in which you're actually logging in. And you can see I'm able to do that here. Now, excuse me. Sometimes you'll see a shorter reservation time. You can go in here and make it longer, make it as long as you need to. Again, it's limited in scope for server access, so I wouldn't recommend making it any longer than you need to. And once you're done, you're able to scale back so that if you finish early, you can give back some time, which is all good. Once you've made a reservation, you can enter the lab. And then entering the lab will allow you to complete the assignment. Typically, these labs require you to do screenshots. You can complete the screenshots and upload them to Canvas, or you can email me. Either way is fine. And that's really all I have for you now. I hope that that's a helpful overview in terms of accessing the material and understanding where the material comes from and when it's due. Again, use the syllabus as your primary guide, and if you have questions, as always, feel free to reach out. Thanks.